Hey, 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 what is going on, my friend? Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Excellence. My name is Eric Schwafel. It's awesome to have you back. I hope that you're having a great day so far today. So, on this podcast, what I like to do is I like to give some tips, I like to give new insights, and hopefully facilitate some breakthroughs for you that allow you to uh, transmute and transform your thinking so that you can get more and better outcomes, right? And move in a more effective fashion. So if you get something out of this podcast, if you get some insight, if there's something that makes you say, oh man, that was good, and I think more people should know about that, then definitely share this thing out, right? Like if you have a social media account, please share that on the social media account, and not just the podcast, right? What really gets them interested is when you share your breakthrough. So it's kind of like saying, hey, you should drink more water. Well, that's great, but what's that going to do for me, right? And if I was to tell you, hey, you should drink more water because it's going to allow you to feel hydrated, your skin's going to look healthier, you're going to be able to lose weight if that's something you want to do, you're going to be able to feel like more energetic, you're going to sleep better. Well, that makes you want to stay hydrated, doesn't it? So, what is going on, my friend? I hope that you are having a great day so far today. And we are getting into chapter two of the Florence Scovel Shinn outline series that we were going through, right? So, we we had the first one, right? If you haven't listened to that, please take a moment and then listen to that. And what we did is we went over the game and what exactly it is, how you play it, where we can learn the rules, and everything like that. What we're going over in this series is an outline that I ended up finding of The Game of Life by Florence Scovel Shinn. And Florence Scovel Shinn was an author. She's an author who I want to say was in the early 1900s, came up with these rules of life and these principles, and they have been able to multiply quite a few different people's lives abundantly. And this was mentioned to me by my coach, and I read the book. It was fantastic. It really changed my view on things as far as finances and how to relate to money and to the exchange of energy. You know, being a business owner, man, it's like at first you're for me at least you're not used to taking people's money, and you don't want to take people's money because you just love doing what you're doing. And that was the biggest piece for me, was one of them anyway, was when I went out on my own, I had to start accepting people's money. Right before then, I had a boss, and the boss would take care of everything. No big deal, like he's going to pay me. I don't have to worry about it. But then you actually have to get paid, right? Like somebody just doesn't pay you, you've got to get the money. And there's a whole big difference from that. There's a completely different mindset from being an employee and knowing I'm going to have my paycheck at the end of the week or at the end of the month, and I just have to put up with this shit until 30 or 40 years, and then I'm going to be fine and I can retire and I'm going to be so much happier with my life. Like, there's one way of doing that. And then the other way of maybe taking a bit more responsibility and determining what results you want and what it's going to take to get there. I mean, it just depends on who you are and what your man, what's the right word? Your personality, how your personality, it's not personality I was looking for, but that word will come to me. So, chapter two, the law of prosperity. Okay, chapter two, the law of prosperity. We're going to dive straight into this. So, if you haven't listened to chapter one, go listen to chapter one. It's a good one. There's a lot of breakthroughs there. There's a lot of breakthroughs. And to give you a quick little, it's not a warning, but how do you want to call it? Just a hey, I don't know everything, right? That's what I want to tell you is I'm just a guy who's figuring it out and likes to take his steps and wants people to come on the journey with him, people to come on the path with him. But he's realized that you can't force people on the path with you. They are gonna kick and fucking scream and do whatever they do because they don't want to. They're on their own path. They're on their own path, which is great and which teaches me at least that people are going to do what they do and I'm going to do what I do. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing if either of us do those things. It doesn't mean it's a good thing if either of us do those things. We're just two people walking on our paths. And sometimes if paths interconnect, great. Sometimes we walk alongside each other, that's great. But there's no need for judgment along the path, right? So what these chapters and books are going to do are they're going to start opening up viewpoints, and they're going to start opening up different paths subconsciously that are going to allow for changes in not only your thought processes, but your identity and the way that you perceive things as well, I think. Okay. So this is, again, just me, a guy, and the outline I'm reading. And with that, I'm going to put a little bit of my stuff in here, like sprinkle a little bit of my emerald salt. All right. So one of the Bible's, number one of the Bible's greatest teachings is that God is man's supply. Oh, look, I'm already stopping us, y'all. If we can get that, just that God is man's supply, I mean, and really rely on that, the whole world can change. There's this great little book. It's the little green book. I'll probably go through that next, called The Abundance Book. And it talks about how God is unfailing abundance. And he is the vast, encompassing, omnipresent force and substance of the universe. You know, it makes a difference when you know what you're surrounded by, who you are, and your perspective and your perception changes. You know, it's like, if you're always taken care of, would you ever worry? Right. Okay. Number one. One of the Bible's greatest teachings is that God is man's supply. B, there is a supply for every demand. Sometimes we don't want to ask because we don't think that we're going to get what we want, or we think that we're going to be a burden, or we think something is going to end up, being some way that it's just going to be, and it's just not going to be that thing that we need it to do. There's going to be a hindrance. There's going to be problems because of us if we ask for what we want. That's not the truth. Yeah, right? Let that hit. I know that hit for a lot of people. That's not the truth. There is a supply for every demand. You can ask for what you want. You can have the things that you want, and you don't have to feel like it's taking from somebody else. You don't have to feel like you're not able to give to someone else, or somebody else isn't getting because you're getting it. Like, that's not how it works, and this is something I'm coming to accept myself, where it was challenging for me for a while to ask for the things that I want, and to say no as well. And to say no, because there's a lot of things that I don't want. And it was hard for me to say no because people want to offer me what they want. And, I was a people pleaser for a long time. I placated people's feelings and always bowed to them, and, not really bowed, but as far as essence and energy goes. And when I stopped doing that, those people left. C, a person can release to himself by his spoken word all that is his by divine right. C, a person can release to himself by his spoken word all that is his by divine right. It is through the word. The word is like a sword. The word is also a shield. It is powerful. The word is a weapon, and the word is spoken by the tongue. D, but only if he has perfect faith in his spoken word and acts it out as if. But only if he has perfect faith in spoken word and acts it out if. So God is man's supply. There's a supply for every demand. A person can release to himself by his spoken word all that is his by divine right, but only if he has perfect faith in his spoken word and acts it out as if. Okay, so there's a difference between 99% committed and 100% committed are completely different, because when you're 100% committed, you know the decision that you're going to make, and it's easy, right? I'm 100% committed to losing weight. That means this week I'm 100% committed to not having any sugary snacks. So when somebody gives you a cookie or offers you a cookie, you say, no, thanks. I'm 100% committed to not having sugary snacks. It's easy. But if you're 99% committed, like, oh, maybe I'm going to have some snacks, maybe I'm not going to have some snacks. I like both. I really like the cookies, but I don't know if this is what I truly, if I don't want to have the cookies. So then when the cookies are offered or whatever it is for you, then they say, oh, it's such a difficult decision. And you're trapped in that energy again. And then guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose to yourself. You've been beating yourself for however many years you've been alive and sneaking past yourself and deceiving yourself for so long. It's going to get you again. Okay. So be sure to, number 2, have active faith. Have active faith. Act as if you had already received it. Act as if you already received it. Now, that doesn't mean deceiving yourself, okay? That doesn't mean deceiving yourself. And that doesn't mean like, that doesn't mean spending $60,000 if you don't have $60,000 or whatever it is for you. But there is a choice within that you can make to start acting as if you had already received it. There is a way. It just takes a seed, right? Both the mustard seed of faith and the mustard seed of doubt. The mustard seed of faith can grow into the grandest tree. Have you seen the difference between a mustard seed and a mustard tree? And then it can be the mustard seed of doubt. And oh my God, you don't want a mustard tree of doubt. Don't affirm success and make a contingency plan for failure. Prepare to receive your good even when there is no sign of it. Okay, number 2, active faith. Act as if you've already received. Don't affirm success and make a contingency plan for failure. Prepare to receive your good even when there is no sign of it. Okay, number 3, getting into the spiritual swing of things is no easy matter for the average person, end quote. Getting into the spiritual swing of things is no easy matter for the average person, end quote. Okay, a big demonstration is usually preceded by negative, tormenting thoughts. Combat these by making affirmations repeatedly and by giving thanks that you have already received. Know that by every good is yours, just awaiting recognition. Okay? A big demonstration is usually preceded by negative, tormenting thoughts. A big demonstration is usually preceded by normal. So when something big's about to go down, shit's going to hit the fan and it's going to feel like it's going to hit the fan. Combat these by making affirmations repeatedly, by giving thanks that you have already received, okay? Combat these by making affirmations repeatedly and by giving thanks that you have already received. Know that every good is yours, just awaiting recognition. It's as simple as that. Know that every good is yours and it's just awaiting recognition. Number 12, what am I thinking? Number 4, I was looking at the wrong spot. In the Old Testament, God promised the Israelites they could have all that they could see. When you know spiritual law, you will be undisturbed by appearances. Spiritual vision pierces through the illusions of material and things as they are. This is Plato's perfect forms of good, okay? In the Old Testament, God promised. He promised the Israelites they could have all that they could see, okay? As above, so below. So first you have to see it within yourself. When you know spiritual law, you will be undisturbed by appearances. Because it doesn't matter. You know what's really going down. You know what's really happening. It's inside you, man. As above, so below. Within, so without. Spiritual vision pierces through the illusions of materiality and sees things as they really are. Plato's perfect form of good. Number 5, demand. Demand what you know is already yours by divine right. Demand what you know is already yours by divine right. Our good comes through us, not to us. Sometimes Florence Scovel Shinn contradicts herself on this, saying we draw our good to us. Okay, so demand what you know is already yours by divine right, and that's the biggest difference, because a lot of times I've noticed in myself that when I demand something or I try to bring something about, and excuse me, I pray and I have action towards it. I notice what ends up happening is it's like ego. So it's like short term, it doesn't work out as well as I want it to, or there are issues, and um, like I'll get what it is that I want, and then it kind of phases after a little while. So what I'm starting to learn is just how important it is to do things by divine right and by the perfect plan, right? So because it's bigger than yourself, and we're so limited on what we know to be great and what we know to be endless joy, and we're so limited on our experience of what it is that we can experience, that if we try to define our happiness, it's not going to be good enough for us, because we're already going to be growing. You see what I'm saying? So like anything that we create is already the past. That's why we're always exploring, because it's because we're expanding. So I hope you see what I'm getting at. So with that being said, make sure that it's aligned perfectly, because otherwise the foundation, man, it can crack, and then the legs will cut up under you. And I've seen it too many times where shit just crumbles because it was built from ego, and to be honest, there wasn't a firm foundation. There wasn't a solid foundation, or there was at one point or another, and then it cracked. Which, I mean, I guess it wasn't solid in the first place. So number 6 example, how a practitioner works. Okay, she instructed her client to be confident. Shinn did this, the author. She instructed her client to be confident and persistent, and she would treat for him. Okay, she treated, let the divine idea come out of this situation. I don't know anything about business, but I know all about God. A detached helper who understands principle can be a great help. The power of vision, no one can fall in one person sees him successful. No one can fall if one person sees him successful. Okay, so this is how the practitioner works, right? She instructed her client to be confident and persistent, and she would treat for him. Okay, so she needed to gather data, and then what she would do by she would treat for him is she would give him the words that he needs to say in order to alleviate this problem that he was dealing with. So she treated him by quoting and saying, you need to repeat this. Let the divine idea come out of this situation. So sometimes there's a problem and we just can't figure out a solution. We don't know what's going on. Maybe we need an idea for business. And instead of relying on our ego mind and our subconscious mind, we can surrender, right? Trust and do not doubt. And we can go ahead and say, let the divine idea come out of this situation. And then we just wait, and then it will come. So one thing too is we can acknowledge what we don't know. As said here, I don't know anything about business, but I know all about God, and God will lead the way, and he'll show you how to do things through business, won't he? Or through a relationship, or through your own navigation of self. So again, that STD is coming up, the surrender, trust, and do not doubt. You want to make sure that that you are loving yourself enough to relax within your own being. See, a lot of it is just relaxing our spirit, and then relaxing our body to the point where we can function without restriction. So what restriction looks like is adhesions, knots, and of course, tight muscles. So once we start to really loosen up our body, we can start to loosen up our spirit, and we can start to explore that more, and then vice versa. So a detached helper, one who understands principles, can be a great help, right? So somebody who isn't attached to the situation, who can see things objectively and observe from an outside eye. Listen, the power of vision, no one can fail if one person sees him successful. So if you can look in the mirror, if you can look at yourself, even if it's with closed eyes, not driving, of course, see yourself as successful, and you can be that one person. Or if you need somebody right outside of you, then find somebody outside of you and really talk to them, and allow them to just share that love with you, so that you can get the kickstart of what you need, right? Oh, I love the Matrix so much. And Neo never believed that he was the one, but Trinity did. Because she did, he did. And then in the new one, it's just so great. I'm not going to spoil it for you. So, with that being said, find your person if you need to find your person. And if you don't have your person already, then find yourself. Look deep within and start to let that light, start to let that abundance, start to let that knowledge, that space, that creation, that presence that pervades the universe, start to let that really work through you and allow you to um, experience, man. Because what I'm learning is the less that you do and the more that you allow spirit to do, sometimes it seems like life gets crazier, but that's just because the old construct's falling apart and the new stuff is coming together. Just like it says, getting into the spiritual swing of things is no easy matter for the average person. A big demonstration is usually preceded by negative, tormenting thoughts. So combat these with affirmations, repeating, and by giving thanks for what's already received. And know that all and every good is already yours and it's just awaiting recognition. So once you start thanking and once you start seeing, once you start predicting and seeing and prophesizing, it can even be in a journal as you're scripting and as you're writing it down. Do that regularly and watch what happens. Okay. I love you, my friend. You're unstoppable. If you got something out of this, then please share it out. And I look forward to hearing from you. Message me and let me know what's up. We'll talk soon. Peace.